It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're watching God, Sex, and Love. Tonight, we are having a male perspective that is near and dear to my heart. All right. I mean, those of you all that know that I have a heart for single people. And so tonight, we're going to be talking to a group of single Christian men sharing their perspective about different aspects of dating and singleness and much, much more. So, if you're ready for this conversation, then stay tuned. Welcome back to God, Sex, and Love. I am here with the fellas, y'all. Woo, it's been a long time since we had a good old male perspective chat, but I'm very, very excited about this one. The panel tonight is none other than first Mr. Dorsey Ross. Hello, how are you, sir?
Hello.
Welcome back to God, Sex, and Love.
Thank you.
We also have my brother from another mother. Y'all already know, Mr. Kelvin Carter. What's up, bro?
What's going on? Thanks for having me. I'm excited. It's been a while.
I know it, man. And last but not least, we can't have no single man conversation without Mr. Ronye Hawkins. Hey, how you doing, bro?
Peace, beautiful people. What's going on, Miracle? What's going on? We back. Yes.
Man, listen, look, it's y'all's fault that we ain't had no good panel discussion in a while. Shout out to the crew that we had a nice
Wow.
live abortion chat not long ago. But yeah, man, the men folk, it's been a while since we had all men and me listening. So I appreciate you all, lending your time tonight and coming and visiting us. Of course, all of y'all have been on here before, so people that are watching, if y'all want to hear individual chats with these gentlemen, please go look into other videos and find them, and you can hear all about them and whatnot in their individual journeys. But tonight we're gonna be focused on the single Christian man conversation, because I believe now all of y'all on here are single, you're Christians, and you're men. Is that correct? Everybody?
That is correct. That is correct.
Follow us, Yahshua. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, well, good. So, I mean, look, as the author of The Cultivation Period, A Single Christian's Journey, plugs.
Come on, promote.
Right. Well, as the author of this book, I mean, honestly, I went through a lot being single. I didn't want to be single, and so it made being single harder for me, because that wasn't what I desired. I was always like, "Where's my husband, Lord? Lord, you know the things I want, and when we gonna get past this?" And all of the questions that I had at that time. And so, I wrote a book about it. You know what I'm saying? But I know each and every one of you all have your own journeys and obviously life stories that you guys have about being single Christian men. I mean, we can kind of touch on that if you want to kind of like give people a glimpse at what it's been like for you and where you currently are and everything like that. So yeah, that'd be a good place to start. So I mean, we've already established that you all are single and Christian men. So like, would you say that you are on your journey as being all of that? Who would like to start and tell us where are you right now?
Look, I can go ahead and start. Now, of course, I I like to bring the sauce. So my journey, I'm loving it. Like, single for me is working. I don't have to worry about all the stresses of being in a relationship. Now, not saying that all relationships are stressful, because just as well as everyone is on their journey, everybody have their own journey within their relationships, and um, so I wanted to say that so nobody gonna be like, oh, he's saying relationships are stressful and he don't want none of that. Nah, but for me, that's not the case for everybody. But for me, I just feel like it's more peace of mind and you can focus on your other goals in life without having to navigate another person along with that. And so, yeah, it's been good for me. I eventually, I probably get there where I would say I want a relationship, but it's been great.
But he's single and loving it, y'all. Single and loving it. I had friends like that. Well, I'm friend female friends back in the day, but now I called one of my friends single and loving it. Now she's all married and moved up and whatnot. But and she was one of those ones that was like, hey, questioning if she was gonna get married and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, it's okay to be single and loving. I think it's good to embrace that part of your life. I mean, again, I had to go through my own journey with that and start to
Hmm.
love it. But yeah. So how about the rest of you guys? Where are you all at with your journeys?
I'm a little bit of both. I enjoy it at times, but then there are times that, I wish that I was, dating somebody or even past that stage of dating somebody, even married to someone at this point. But that's not what it is at the moment. It's not what God has for me right now. So I'm just waiting and praying about to God for, to send me the one that He has for me.
I know, yeah, Mr. Dorsey, I know we talked about that last time. Yeah, I know you said it was like, girl, look, Miracle, you put me on the spot with these questions you asking me. I was like, well, what if your wife is watching right now? What you gonna say? No, yeah. I mean, honestly, I think all three of y'all I thought about this about, but definitely I would say Ranye and Dorsey. Um, because well, okay, never mind. I'll tell y'all in a minute. Go ahead, Mr. Ranye.
She just holding the pause. Then you feel the pause? I felt the pause. Because it's a hard pause right now. Hopefully you'll release it after I finish. Okay, Miracle? I'm just
Okay.
we waiting. Anywho. Let's see. From the last episode, when I was on this platform, I was talking about going through my own personal mental health journey. So literally, I just took a break from everything, and that was like during the pandemic. That was 2020, and I had friends of mine try to hook me up and connect me to their girlfriends, wanting to date and things of that nature, which was all well and good. But the Lord kept pressing it on me to not deal with anyone and just really solely focus in on my healing from childhood trauma, generational trauma, things of that nature. Solely focus in on what He has for me, and to practice the art of patience and be able to focus in on my brand, my businesses, things of that nature. That part has been really good. I will say that, and since we are being open and honest here on this platform, which I love being very transparent, being single is really not the easiest thing. It is not. But at the same time, there is a sense of peace. I've been just having time to myself. I love working out. I love just being able to get up early in the morning, go to the park, go for a run, whatever the case, and just sit down and just connect and meditate on the word, meditate on God, pray while I'm there. I get revelations on different things, and just simply practice patience. It's not the easiest thing, but it's a process within itself. I believe that patience is actually weeding out what is right for you and to remove the rest that's not for you. That's been a process within itself. It has not been the easiest thing, but nevertheless, I thank God for it, because through patience, it does teach you about maturity. It teaches you about growth, things that you never knew about yourself. You start to pick up different skills, like, oh, let me try this. I never tried this before. Let me go and check that out. Going to different places, different sites. If you get a chance to travel as well, or just even in your own city, what I mean, do something that you never did before. Um, Different aspirations, maybe you want to try something brand new. So you have that time in your singleness to do that, but also in the midst of being the single, you get a chance to work on yourself so that when it's time for you to connect with that person that God has for you, you're not going to bring in all of that garbage and all that baggage that you have dealt with from your past. So you're coming in as a brand new individual and saying, hey, I've worked on myself, still in the process. And hopefully that partner that God has for you, she has done the same thing as well. So the two of you can meet and everything is loving and peaceful and harmonious. And, you know, we may have our differences on things, but still we can sit down and talk it out like two grown adults. So that's what it's really about for me right now. Working on my businesses. I've been doing a lot of auditions. I've been booking events, booking different gigs, commercials for TV and films and things of that nature. So that's been keeping me busy the most majority of the time, you know, music and stuff like that. So I'm good in that department. I keep myself, you know, not just busy, but being productive, but also knowing that, hey, you know, let me just take my time and just let God do his work.
Hey, well, you look, you know, I can relate to the majority of everything you're saying there. You know, and obviously, you know, again, I have a heart for single people because, again, like when I share my journey and when I share my story, at the end of the day, I'm like, it was a struggle for me, and I know that I wasn't alone, even though I felt alone and stuff like that. And so here we are, you know, there's three of you all, and y'all all again all have these different perspectives. And I think that's great because, you know, they can kind of show people, you know, obviously I mean, of course, everybody's probably going to, you know, all three of y'all are probably going to have different perspective or answer, for example, these questions that we get into later, in your own way and whatnot. But I just think it's very important, like, to hear y'all's perspective because, like, on one hand, when I think back on
Uh-oh.
when I was single and everything like that, and you know, men like y'all would kind of been like unicorns in my mind. Like it was like, where are y'all at? You know what I mean? And that's funny because somebody literally sent that question for y'all, so y'all can answer that in a minute. Like where y'all been or whatever. And that was one thing. Even when I met my husband, I was like, where have you been? Like what? You know, why did it take so long? But so so with that being said, I mean, if I do finish saying what I was going to say earlier, it's like, I if there is something that I could do, or for example, you know, I guess I feel like I'm a little bit of a producer these days. So who knows, man? I'm hoping I can get some funds together or whatever I need to kind of like, if I could pull together like a show or something. I don't know, I don't put too much out there, but I got some ideas swirling in my head for y'all because I'm like, not to just be like, oh, just to get y'all somebody, but my thing is like, I don't know if men like y'all are out there when it comes to, for example, like dating shows and stuff like that. Like there might be some good men, but I don't know if it's like Christian men. You know what I'm saying? Like, or even if they proclaim to be, but then it's like
Right.
action wise. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
think it'd be very interesting to see like y'all dating. You know what I'm saying? And how different that would be compared to like what is out there about men and everything like that. So that's what I was gonna say earlier because I think you know that was on my heart and mind, and so we will be praying about that. Hopefully, you know, I can expand GSL and we'll see what the Lord do with all of that and those different ideas. But yeah, yeah. So
So I do have a question before you get in a question. So will I be wearing two hats on this show?
look, he already put his. Now, I mean, hey, I don't know. Are you gonna be the star of the show? You gonna be, the bachelor? Are you?
Look, I mean, look, I'm talking about being on the show and help producing the show as well.
I mean, well, brother, look, you can be co-produced. Look, see why I would never you. See why I would never
Right.
you. That's my partner right now. Yeah, yeah. You gonna produce your own show? Go ahead, there, brother.
Look, everybody else doing it. Why can't I?
That's right.
Exactly. Well, let's get it done. We gonna get it done. We're gonna speak that in advance. Speak it in advance that we gonna get this type of thing. Because I got some ideas. I think it's gonna be good. I just got to figure out like how to do it, and well, obviously, Lord, you're gonna provide some funds because we're going to, we want to do it right,
Hmm.
and everything
Mhm.
like that. But
Mhm.
but one question before I get into these is like, I mean, it now. I think all of you may have thought about marriage at some point, right? So, so what do you think? As a single man, like how do you think, or what do you think about when you think about marriage? Like, what does that look like to you? Like, what does your marriage look like, or your ideal marriage? What does that look like to you? Is that too heavy? I mean, y'all ain't got to get into like the nitty gritties about, you know, the second word in my title. I'm saying.
Yo, you funny. You funny. You real funny right now, Miracle. You real funny. Like somebody get her a stand up for real.
I mean, everybody got quiet. Like it gave you the face. I'm like, what?
So I think right
question?
there we was processing. We was
Thank you.
processing.
Come on,
right there.
Kelvin. Yes, Kelvin.
You
Yes,
know,
Kelvin.
so-
We were processing.
This is a loaded question tonight. I thought y'all had been thinking about it.
So, because you know, not everybody thinks about the marriage piece. I think, not saying that, okay, guys, I'm not saying that guys don't think about it, but I don't think that's like, for me, there's not like some dream wedding or dream marriage concepts going on in my brain.
Mhm.
So that's why I was like, honestly, just to break it down simple, if I was to get married, I just want the simple stuff like honesty, commitment, you know, loyal, you know, open, yeah, just like the basic stuff, you know, able to, you know, have a conversation. Like I don't need all the other stuff that I need the basics. Let's just start there.
Mhm.
I think everything else can be built on upon, but having that foundation is going to be key.
That's good. Look, for somebody who ain't thought about it.
I mean, it makes sense. Oh, and then of course, don't forget you need somebody that's like-minded in belief. So whatever religion you practice, because I know you might have all different types of individuals that practice different religions. So whatever that religion is for you, having somebody like-minded is going to be big, because you know you're going somewhere and they're practicing something that doesn't align with what you're practicing, and then now you're butting heads. So yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. Not bad, brother. Look, y'all, see, I'm too comfortable with y'all because I was about to sit here and be like, well, you know, and look, they got to get it on with me, brother, for you, because they're going to have to understand our relationship. I'm too comfortable here. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm joking.
I mean, that is something to add, because if they're not saying that they don't, no, so not saying that they have to be in the same field or career, but they need to understand yours.
Yeah.
Understand that, you know, I'm an actor at times, and I may need to go out and film, and I might be gone for 8 hours or 12 hours. Look, 3 days. And so I'm like, you know, nobody needs all of the where you at, what you doing. So I mean, so you're right. So having somebody also that understands your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, so on and so forth, and they're not being combative when of something that they don't understand.
No, Kelvin's right. He's definitely right about that. And what comes to my mind is, and before I got on the call, what comes to my mind is the word respect. Respect really stretches between two individuals, two parties, you know, that really fully understands each other's purpose. And that's something else that really
Come
needs
on now. I got to clap on that.
If you don't understand your partner's purpose and why they do what they do, especially if they're being divinely instructed to do something, then I just need you to be my support system. I just need you to be my helpmate. I just need you to be in my corner, my cheerleader, you know what I'm saying? that's super important to know that. And and it's funny you're talking about marriage, especially on this particular platform, because there's a massive difference between wedding and marriage. Wedding is just for show, right? It's cool. You know, you're doing something as a quote unquote commitment between God and man in the audience. When you're talking about marriage, I'm looking at things like, you know, how my parents were for 51 years before they got divorced. See what I'm saying? And I bring that up because, you know, we don't want to deal with counterfeits. And that's something else that the Lord has been putting on my heart, you know, during this single season, especially when you're talking about finding someone, or, you know, you're in the process of working on yourself to find that mate, and God is helping you to find that potential mate, is maturity. You got to have maturity. You got to have respect. There is growth there. They know exactly what your position is, where you're coming from. So again, even if we have a difference, it's quite all right. You know what I'm saying? I just need you to respect me at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Not just for the fact of, you know, I'm a man of God, but just simply as a man, period, and what my position is. And I think a lot of times I've even witnessed this with friends of mine who are in committed relationships, or they're in marriages, whatever. Their partners really don't fully respect them and what they do. You know what I'm saying? Even if there is a difference in your economic scale or how much money you bring home, whatever the case may be, like respect that man for what he does. You know what I'm saying? It's honest work, it's legal work. You know, he's making an honest living, you know, and don't put so much pressure on him if you know his position. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we've been raised to respect women, you know, especially from the background that I come from, you know, as being a gentleman myself, but also with that, we have boundaries. And no one ever told me this about boundaries until 3, 4 years ago. And that's also a
Mhm.
part of that mental health process as well, too. You know, it's like if you understand my mission statement, if you understand my purpose, then thank you. I greatly appreciate that, because I'm going to respect yours and what you do and how you quote unquote bring home the bacon. Cool, you know, but I just want you to know, like, hey, I like you, you like me. Let's see how this thing works. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go on the flow. Let's be patient about it. You know, we have certain boundaries, certain standards that we need to establish. But anyway, I ain't mean to make a left. Just I want to express that because I just felt that in my spirit to say something about it. Because when you're talking about marriage, it boils down like what Kelvin said. It's really like honesty and humility, and there is communication is another thing that we need to understand too. People don't know how to communicate.
Huge.
That's massive. You know what I mean? Like if you go and look at studies, I don't care if it's online, whether it's Google, whether it's Harvard University or any other Ivy League school, whatever, or even in Newsweek magazine, they'll tell you the same thing. The top two issues that most marriages have is number one, lack of communication, and two, not having an understanding of financials, not having an understanding of finance. How does it work in the home structure, financial literacy, economic empowerment, things like that. And if your mate doesn't have the funds right now, you don't beat them down. You're supposed to uplift them. Know your position as a woman, especially a woman who says that she's following God's standards, those principles, then you should know who you are. You know what I mean? It's the same thing for the fellas as well, too. As men, we need to know what our position is, what we do, what our purposes is, and all of that. Now, we all three have, you know what I'm saying, different journeys and things like that. We got our different walks, but at the same time, there's a lot of similarities here. Okay. It's a lot of similarities. The main thing is for me is that, you know, do you respect what I do? Not because of the fact of, okay, this is what I do. Yeah, I'm in arts and entertainment. Yes, I'm in mental health. Yes, I'm in physical health and fitness and nutrition and things that I love. But also, do you just solely respect me for the fact of I am a man? Period. You know, and we don't get that enough. There's a lot of things that are on social media that affect the mindsets of people, both male and female. You know what I mean? So we got a lot of different things that are thrown at us all at the same time. And people are getting different perspectives. But the question is that the right perspective that you're looking at in the scope in your pursuit of that man? vice versa. People really don't want to sit down and think about this or even meditate on this for a little bit. I have past 10 years. I've had tons of different examples from family members who went through marriage, got divorced, who were in marriages for a long time, still the same process and how they ended up. It's like, do you really want to be harmonious with this person all the days of your life? Do you understand where they're coming from? And yes, seasons change all the time, but like, where is the foundation and all of that? And definitely most importantly, if Christ is not in the center of it, then definitely we can't rock at all. Period. That's just what it is, because that's how I maneuver. I'm a praying man. That's my lifeline. That's my source to get through everything. Besides, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but other essentials that I do, how I take care of myself, that's how I operate. It's like, I don't want to sit here and be arguing with you all day long and the fridge is not full. Come on, no, I got stuff to do, So anywho, I'm gonna put a cap on it right now. It's just done.
Well, what say you, Mr. Dorsey? Did they take all the things?
Yeah, they pretty much did, What I will say is, like going back to what Kelvin said about, working and understanding what each other does for, if she does work, understanding what she does and understanding what, you do as a husband. I have to travel a lot, for my ministry and for speaking, especially on the weekends. So before we even get married, she'll have to understand, unless by that time I have a different job or I have a different ministry, she'll have to understand that, hey, I have to, travel and, be on the road a lot, unless he comes with me, and also understand the fact that, I don't get paid a lot. She may have to be the head, breadwinner in the family, although, like maybe the statistic or whatever word you want to use is that the men have to be that, but I think sometimes the women have to be that as well. And I think there needs to be understanding in that.
Yes, I understand. I mean, and I guess on top of that, I mean, I know we went more in depth in your individual conversation, but I mean, I'm sure people can, see and understand that you are in a unique situation. So your spouse would definitely, there's a lot that would need to be, understood, and being a helpmate will be a totally on another level for you, right?
And I would say also people need to get rid of the traditional idea of what um what a marriage looks like, what that household looks like, because it's not always going to be like you was saying, Doris. It's not always going to be that the man is the breadwinner. I mean, he's still the head of the household. Doesn't mean that he has to be the breadwinner. So I will say get rid of, some people need to get rid of that traditional or that old way thinking that the household needs to be ran a certain way, because everyone's, like we're talking about, everyone's journey is different. Everything is not a cookie cutter type of marriage, so it's not all going to assimilate the same. And so and I think that's important as well. So
Yeah, so it's not
good
really
point.
truly like 50-50, it's 100-100, you know what I mean? So if you're down at the moment, someone needs to, fill in that gap and, do what they need to do to make sure that the household is functioning properly according to, whatever that conversation is that you guys had. And then, when that person is back on their feet, then, hey, we're gonna keep it moving forward. So it's just really it's a team effort. I think people forget about that.
Right.
It's a team effort all the way around. It's not just, oh, it's just you and you only. You know what I mean? Because like you say, there's not always traditional ways now of doing things. It's like, men shouldn't be scared of going in there and, hey, she needs help with ironing clothes, folding laundry, you know what I mean? Things like that, cooking, cleaning.
Right. I just saw something about that.
Yeah. So
I
it's
just
like,
saw an interview about that.
Mm. So it's the same thing. So it's like
Mhm.
a lot of things have changed. You know what I'm saying? Probably within the last not even decades or so, you know what I'm saying, but just like centuries, things have shifted in a certain way, to where it's now like, hey, if she needs help, I got her covered. And she knows that if I need help with something, then she should be able to like, hey, I got you, and just keep moving forward, to make sure again everything is good on the home front, and of course, you're praying about everything and just keep everything moving, everything positive.
I know I can go on and listen to y'all and ask y'all more questions on my own, but I mean, I did solicit some things from the book.
Come
I
on, tell us what the people say. What the people
I
say?
put them on social
Yeah,
media, and I
we
was
here
like,
now.
yeah, I was like, y'all got questions for single Christian men, and then I know the panel group was just popping with all the questions from the ladies, and I got a few on the pages, but I guess let me start with the shortest one first, and then we'll get into, I guess, the nitty gritty.
Ooh,
So
okay.
Okay.
the
Okay.
shortest question said, my post said, uh, do you have questions for single Christian men? If so, comment below, blah, blah, blah. So that person says, yes, where y'all at? Question, question, question. With the laughing emojis. So where are y'all? Where y'all at?
I'm in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I'm about 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
I know that's right, Dorsey.
Right. Let the people know where you're at.
Yeah, tap in.
I thought y'all
Yeah,
was gonna be like, we working, that's what we at.
that's right. Exactly. I'm over here trying to. I'm in my bag right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I'm trying to make this thing happen. Yeah, yeah. But
trying to
I'm
tell
from
you.
Orlando, Florida. Born and raised. I'm saying Orlando, Florida.
Look, y'all literally giving y'all locations. Y'all say, "What this is where I'm at," literally. So, but I don't know exactly if they just meant like in general, like maybe they're like they don't see you. And I will say again, back in those days, I was like, "Where is this dude?" Like, I would meet people, but
Mhm.
not the. I don't know. I guess again, if I just focus on y'all, right, the Christian man. The
Mhm.
men that I met, and I know I wrote about this in the book, the men that I had met at that time, either if they were Christians as well, the type of men that I thought that I needed, wanted, and was looking for, right?
Right.
They always kind of came across as like either mentor or friend or whatever. On their end, like not on mine, because I was always like, everybody's a prospect until proven not. So y'all are blessed to not be, not caught single miracle. Like Kelvin knew
Right.
back then. Kelvin knew me back then. But you know what I mean? Like this conversation would be totally different if I was still single miracle. Who knows,
Right.
I just look at y'all as brothers and have this conversation as, in general. But yeah. I mean, it did just kind of feel like the men were nowhere around or maybe they didn't take me seriously or looked at me seriously in that way. I know Kelvin, you still got to tell them where you at, but I'm just throwing that in there.
So the question that they ask is, where are they? And I think that some of these guys are in front of them. It's just they have a certain type that they're looking for. And
Mhm.
it's not God sent,
Correct.
meaning that the people that
Come on
God
now.
want them to have, or
Mhm.
whoever you believe in, are sending people, and they're like, nah, that ain't my type. But
Mhm.
God was saying, this is who I want you to have, because this is the person that is going to fulfill you, not only mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all those wonderful things.
Mhm.
And it's going to be smoother. You're not going to have to worry about, whatever his name out there cheating,
Mhm.
or this guy over
Mhm.
here trying to just use me for my money, or whatever
Mhm.
scenario is going to be. Somebody that I get and he's beating on me. So the guys are there. They might just want to make sure that they are listening to whom they're praying to.
Mm, look, he be ministering there now and
Look,
then.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I'm
He telling the
saying, you know,
truth.
so for instance, now this is, you know, part. Look, maybe we need to write this book, Miracle, but but you know, like Miracle stated, I was, you know, I've known her for a while, and so I was a part of her journey.
Mhm.
Um, and so one of her relationships, the guy, you know, wasn't. I didn't think he was a good guy, but I can't say, oh, drop him. You know, people are on their journey. All I can do is give advice. And so when that relationship was coming to an end, she came to stay with me. And I was like, you know, this is how you are supposed to be handled. This is what something is supposed to happen. Not saying that we was in a relationship, but I was showing her what type of man that she needed in her life, and that guy wasn't it. And so the
Mhm.
way God worked it out was the exact same thing that I was showing her was the exact same thing that she transitioned to, and now she married.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, so it's have to make sure that you're listening. And God's like, look, this is your guy, and you like, oh well, you know, he's short. I want a tall guy, or you know, he's thin. I want a buff dude, or it's like it's all of
Mhm.
these things that they're looking for, but that's not what God has for them. And so, as soon as they start listening and paying attention to the signs, then they're there. You're
Mhm.
just overlooking them.
Mhm. I want to
That-
jump right there. Let me tag on what Kelvin just said, and all that was just jewels. I just love it. Amazing. Just great answers too. That's the truth. So this revelation came to me yesterday when I was out at the park. I was working out and I had a moment to just meditate for a second. And I paid attention to this, and this is what the Spirit said very clearly. It said, many people listen to respond, but many people listen. Well, many people don't listen for the sake of listening. Then it said, many people listen with their ears, but not with their heart. So I'm going to say that again. Many people listen to respond. That means a lot of times people rush the process before actually letting it marinate on it, sit on it for a second. But they don't listen for the sake of listening. Like, are you really listening in? Are you really in tune to the person that's in front of you? Are you paying attention to the signs that are in front of you? Are you asking God the correct questions? Then it said, are they listening with their ears, but not with their heart? So, further onto my statement, a lot of times, and I've seen this with most women as well, who I come across, some girlfriends of mine as well, and I speak to them with love and also with respect and truth. I tell them, you know, what you're looking for, God has it. But because you have somewhat of an ideal in your own mind, this is the guy that you want. Or you say that, oh, I prayed for this person, but I said, wait a minute, I just told you about the counterfeit. See, God knows exactly what you want, but watch this. The enemy also knows what you want as well, too. So it can be dressed up like it's the real thing, but it's not the real thing, right? So they want a guy who is 6'2", light skin, caramel eyes, et cetera, but he could be a
Hmm.
straight up dog. I'm just gonna put it out there for you.
Hmm.
He could be a person who's not a gentleman, right? When you need help with something, he's not there. He's like, oh, you know, go get it yourself, whatever. That's not my problem, et cetera, A to Z and back. I ain't got nothing to do with that, whatever. You know, he's being very nonchalant. He's not really listening. He's not paying attention to your needs, whatever case may be, or just simply like, oh, you know, hey, I need prayer. Can you pray for me about something, et cetera, et cetera? Can you help me with this? No, because there are some people that are sent to you, but you really got to filter it out and really pay attention to what's in front of you. If you don't, that blessing is just going to keep passing you every single time. So that's why I just wait. I just wait till it's the right thing. Like I said, it's a process and it is hard, but guess what? I would rather have fun with a dog and a fish than to be with somebody that don't respect me across the board and won't give me a hard time, gonna give me high blood pressure and all this kind of crazy stuff. Like I ain't got time for that, right? Like my health is important to me, okay? All the way through and through. I need my peace. Okay. So my peace is super important. And I think that's the issue with most women that I have noticed. They keep rushing the process, rushing the process, rushing the process because they want it on their time. It's not on God's time. We heard this many, many times, you know what I mean? Even just through your own studies. It's like God's time is perfect, you know, and whatever that is, you know, it could be tomorrow, could be next week. You don't know. But you just gotta take that leap of faith and just say, you know what, I'm gonna just focus in on what I need to do for me. And then, you know, hey, boom, surprise, there it is. And I've heard this many, many times. The question that the people are asking, you know, where are we? Well, the men that are really the ones that have a standard and they really take care of themselves and they have high respect for themselves, we are tucked away somewhere in the corner, working on ourselves and bettering ourselves. And when the timing is right, we'll be presented.
I
Remember
heard
what
the
the
Lord
scripture
say
says.
covered.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So just as the scripture was talking about in Genesis, you know what I'm saying, when God finished working on Adam and he created Adam and all that, and then when he started to work on Eve, it says that Eve was presented to him. So that's a process within itself. So we're being presented at the right timing to the woman, and the woman's being presented at the right timing to the man. So it goes both ways as well. You just can't rush the process because maybe there's some things that you need to work on while you're trying to rush it, right? So like
Still
there was a
stuck
young
on the
lady.
eggs.
She was stuck. She was just nervous and desperate. Don't have that spirit of of being desperate because that's the worst kind there is. Don't be desperate. Take your time. You know what I mean? I was just talking to a young lady a couple of days ago, and she was dealing with somebody, and I was like, "Well, hey, you got to ask the right questions to this guy." You know what I mean? Because he calling her at 12 midnight, whatever. I'm like, "Listen, the guy calling you at 12 midnight, trust me, it ain't no milk and cookies, boo boo. All right."
Look, the second word on the title right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is the Holy Spirit kicking in right now? You know what I'm saying? So,
Look, they trying to skip the God and go to the next word.
exactly. Go to the next one. Okay. He's just like, yeah, milk and cookies. Okay. No, that ain't it. That's not it. And you sitting there with egg on your face, and you like, I should never did that. Fell into a ditch somewhere, proverbially speaking. But again, take your time. It's really about taking your time and just know that, there is somebody for everybody, honestly, you know what I mean? But then there's some people that are just at peace with all of it, and some people don't want to be married. I'm cool with that too. No problem with that at all. But when you are desperate, that's how you're rushing the process, where it could be somebody, like Kelvin said, it could be somebody that's absolutely amazing, but because of the fact of you're putting a restriction onto what God is trying to establish in front of you, that's where you're going to mess up at every single time. Because, like I said, a person can be physically attractive, but on the inside of them is just downright dirty. Their heart is rotten like a mango seed, across the board. Just it's ridiculous. You say you want this, but at the same time, you're not willing to work at it. You're not willing to work on yourself. You're not willing to work on who you are, what you've been called to be, because you're so in a rush of like, I want a man right now. Like, it's not gonna work for you. It's not gonna work for you, sweetheart. It really isn't. Because it's like, oh, you got this ideal person in your head, but God is like, you need to just throw that out there. My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither my ways to your ways, says the Lord. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so are my thoughts to your thoughts. So God already knows exactly who you need anyway and who fits the mold for you. It should be like an easy jigsaw puzzle coming together. That's what I'm realizing. Because like if someone is disturbing my peace, can't have that. I don't care how fine you are. I don't care if you got a Coca-Cola bottle shape, whatever. None of that stuff don't make no difference. If you are disrupting everything there is in me where I can't focus, I have a problem. Ain't do it. That's just my perspective.
But this is the male perspective tonight. So hey, this is all good, y'all. This is all good. Look. All right. Well, let me go on and give y'all another question then.
Hold, can I say one more thing before we move on? One more thing, because my grandma popped in my mind, and she always used to tell all these stories, right? About how she found her husband.
Mm.
So, I mean, I guess you can call it a parable if you would like, but dealing with all the wrong men, and finally, she decided, I'm gonna pray to God and tell him to send me a man. And she said, God, I promise you, I won't have sex again until you send me this man. So she said, there's one guy came, and she had other things that she prayed for, that she wanted some attributes and skills and things that she wanted her husband to have. And so she said one guy came, had some of those, and then turned around and asked for sex. She's like, oh no, you're not it. You're not the one. Because I promised God that I wasn't gonna do that until I got married. She said somebody else came, had one of those other skills, and then asked for sex. She said, nah, trying to get me. You ain't the one. And then she said, finally, one came, had the skills, and I want to say she said there was dating, and then the first thing he asked her to marry him, and she was like, "You want to marry me?" And he was like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Well, you know, you ain't asked me for no sex." I said, "No, I want to marry you." She's like, "Oh wow," and she was like, but you don't know if I'm a man or a woman up under these clothes. He said, I still want to marry you. He said, I still want to marry you. And so, but all that leads down to she prayed to God, saying that one, she did a prayer, but she also gave a commitment with that prayer.
That's right.
And so, with the combination of the two, she knew that if the enemy came and asked for the commitment that she promised God of something that she was not going to do, she know that's the enemy. But when the one came and asked for marriage before even asking to lay down in the bed, she knew that God answered the prayer, and they've been married. I mean, this is was my step grandfather. They've been married. They got married. I think I was 3 years old, and he passed. I forgot how long ago he passed, but a long time. So from 3 up until like 20 something years, so about almost 20 years, maybe a little over. I can't get my math right, but just long time. But so I would say maybe that's something that some of you ladies can incorporate. You not only pray for God to send you a man, but find a commitment that you can honor God with, and so that you can be able to differentiate if the enemy sends you somebody and if God sends you somebody.
Also, I'm gonna piggyback off what Kelvin just said. That is absolutely the truth. It is definitely about commitment, but the commitment that your grandmother did, and most ladies need to catch on to this, that commitment produced change. So your grandmother had to change and shift the paradigm so that she's in alignment with what God wanted for her life, because God wants us to win and he wants the best for his children. And at the same time, when that commitment was processed through confession, that's where change took place. When that change took place, and she said, I'm going to stick to this, I'm going to be disciplined, I'm going to have temperance, control.
That's right.
So she waited and then finally got married, etc. That's what most people need to understand is that, hey, there is going to be a commitment, there's going to be a change into who you are and to who this man is as well, who's going to be entering into your life. And they have a respect for you, not just for the fact of your body, but also for your heart, for your spirit. Because when you look at it, women are very fragile. That God is presenting in front of you, and because it's what, it's God's daughter. So men have to understand this, but also women have to understand this as well too, that there is a commitment and there is a change. Don't let nobody lie to you and tell you that change is not evident. It has to be evident. You got to make sure that you are serious and focused in on your change. You're saying, like, this is what I want, this is what I would like, Lord, this is my desire, and if it's in your will, then let it be done. That's what people need to fully understand. Change got to take place. Change takes place in here in the heart and in your mindset. So
All right, we ready for the next question, Mira?
That's good. I mean, hey, the people, we need to know that. I mean, y'all taking pieces out of my book, but I'm just trying to, keep dropping it. But yeah, I had to make some changes so that it was hard, but see what the Lord done did. But anyway, so speaking of sex and changes and all that, I'm going to add a little piece to this. I'm going to add a little bit of a question and then ask their question. So, are you practicing purity? And what's helping you in your practice of purity?
Oh, that's a good one. All right,
Yeah.
so I guess I'll go ahead and start while you other brothers go ahead and process. So that's a great question. Now, purity, right? Um, sounds like pure, and I feel like we all are still working towards perfection. So I don't think that purity is a great word to use. Now, are we abstaining from sexual activities? I'm gonna say most of the time, yes. Most of the time. I've gone periods 4 years, at a time. And that's good, but we're still working towards perfection, right? So and then if you want to break it down, you're just like, okay, so what are you abstaining from? Is it because some people think self gratification is a sin. So it depends on how they want to break it down. Now,
right.
We are sexual beings. So if I'm not practicing sexual activities with someone else, I'm definitely taking care of myself. So it just depends. So I would say most of the time, but I do think it should be clarified on exactly what they mean by purity, and how pure does one need to be. Now, I ain't ready to go up beyond it yet, but I think that's when you actually get to that purity stage.
Well, don't worry. I'm sure some of these questions will go a little deeper, and then y'all can answer them other ones in a minute. But let's just focus on this one. They coming. They coming.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna go off of what Kelvin just said. Because like he said, you have to, maybe define, what they mean by purity. I have not, had sex with any woman yet, and waiting, to, till marriage to do that. But yet, purity, in the mind is a different story. And like Calvin said, we're striving for that perfection. We're striving to do better, every day.
Thank you both for your transparency there. I mean, we all understand we humans around here, so
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just telling y'all when they said purity, so I'm just reading the words. But yeah, I hear
Look, I know you. I know you're gonna read what's there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Come on with it, Mr. Ranye. Well, come on with it. What is helping you practice purity?
I'm with the fellas, but I like what Kelvin said as well. The key word is abstain or abstinence. For those who do understand or have been following me for a little bit now on my own journey, mine was a little bit different. I do consider myself as a virgin, just for being very transparent. I haven't had no sexual intercourse with a woman or anything of that nature. But a part of my mental health journey and also, getting free from different childhood trauma or generational trauma. To be fully transparent, one of the things I have dealt with in the past and also have, by God's grace, conquered as well. I was exposed to certain things as a child. So the main thing for me was 12 years old, I was exposed to pornography, also to masturbation as well. And for any common man, of course, the Bible talks about this, of how he will give you a way of escape. For me, that was a struggle in that department there. Um, it doesn't say that, hey, I'm, I love God with all my heart, but at the same time, say, hey, we all sexual beings, things of that nature. But at the same time, he's helped me to, master that. And all right, we put that on the shelf. Let's move forward. That has been a process within itself. Um, and the crazy thing is that as I was going through it, I understood where the source came from. It just wasn't the fact of like I had childhood friends that were exposed to this, and I was exposed to it, but also I had there were people in the church. My father was exposed to it. I had friends of mine, their parents. Some of them were actually clergymen. Some of them were church leaders. Bishops and pastors and worship leaders and singers and songwriters and musicians and it's the thing that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but now it's getting to the place of where now we're talking about it. Now we're talking about these different things that the Apostle Paul was talking about over in Romans. So, for me now, it's been a point of like, it's really up in here, the mindset, right? Of getting deliverance from those strongholds and urges and things of that nature. Yeah, we are men by divine nature, the way that God intended. And yes, we were intended to procreate. We were intended to, be able to consummate. But of course, that's within God's timing with that individual. Now, of course, the enemy always uses things to bring distractions and to try to get us off course. Yes. Um, but at the same time, as I am going through this process, I mean, hey, even some women have like freaked out when I tell them what my position is and what I've been through and all of that. They're like, what? You are what? Are you serious? Because they never heard of anything like that before. A man that's like really trying to abstain and hold himself in this position here to what God is saying to him. Some of them are freaked out. Even some women in the church are kind of freaked out as well too. But hey, I'm just keeping it 1,000, not even 100. When I tell y'all this, like this is my personal journey. This is what I've been through. I'm like, hey, I still have some, old school in me. You know what I mean? I was raised around a lot of my elders, my grandparents, and things like that. So I hold them up very responsibly because of my thought process and where I am. And I'm like, okay, I'll allow God to work on me and say, well, where does the source come from, and how do we tackle this properly, and why we don't talk about this? Because a lot of young men have been misinformed about sex within itself, and they don't sit down and really talk about it with them until it's too late. You know what I mean? Like I had a cousin on my father's side. She had her first kid at 12 years old. You know, so it's pretty wild. When we're talking about matters of the heart like this, especially when we're talking about quote unquote sexual content. So with that being said, it's like, how do you handle that? For me, it's been a constant practice of working on myself. You know what I mean? Like literally, like I said, exercise has been my process, way of escape, exercising, mental health, journaling things down, praying about certain things, meditating on certain things, having conversations with my mentors, having conversations with my therapists, my counselors, and that's a part of my tribe as well too. And to be able to say, you know what, let's identify where this root came from, and then we'll move forward, right? So that's a part of that abstinence and abstaining from the appearance of evil, as the scripture says, and being able to say, you know what, let me not do this. And what's the purpose of why you're doing that? Where did that come from? Because when a person doesn't question those things, it's always going to be that struggle over and over again, or whatever their addiction is, right? So you mean not to do that, and it's kind of conflicting between your spirit and your flesh at the same time. That's how you know God is there. It's like, I don't want you to do that. Let's go over here. So, but when you don't have elders that don't tell you this, you probably get your information from Joe Schmo on the block, or a cousin, or somebody that you looked up to, or whatever, and that's what most of my friends used to do. My childhood friends went through other people. It's like, oh man, this is what we're supposed to do, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's a rites of passage, but then you realize, like, no, that's not it. The more you start digging, the more you start studying, it's like, nah, that's not it. That's not my approach. That's not what I'm trying to do. And I heard a pastor say to his congregation one time, he said, single problems become married problems. So you don't want that to spill over into, the marriage room, the bedroom per se, with that. And you have your spouse looking at you like you're crazy because, like, it'll make her feel some type of way, whatever, you know what I mean? Feeling, then you got insecurities pop up. And most women deal with insecurities, what I'm saying? They deal with fear, they deal with different factors here. So the more I work on myself and get rid of those matters, and, thank God he has helped me to get into a place of peace, I'm moving forward with that. And it's just like, everything else is just not necessary. We're going to get to the meat and potatoes, as we would say, you know. But yeah, that's been my practice. That's been my place of getting closer and closer to keeping abstinence as much as possible, and holding myself accountable. I got friends that are accountable to me as well, and they help me through that process as well. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a safe space, and I appreciate the safe space as well. You know what I mean? Because we just being transparent, and I'm thankful for that. So.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Like, again, I heard about people that wait to kiss until they're married. I'm like, wow, the restraint that God is using y'all. Like, it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's important for
Mhm.
people to understand that there are people that are serious about not, the practice of abstinence and everything like that. Because again, I know you saying with your personal experience that people are like shocked, and I mean I understand, I understand. So I know we can go on and on. That's a whole conversation by itself, y'all. So let's get into this next question. It says, what is your definition of the one?
Mm.
We're processing.
I know.
So
So,
I don't.
I'll go ahead, Dorsey.
Yeah, go
So
ahead, Dorsey. What you got, Dorsey?
I was just gonna say I don't know if there is just the one. I think I've heard it said that there's multiple people out there that can match with us or that can connect with us Because you think about it, there's 7 point something, something 7 point something billion people in the world, and
Right.
let's just say half of them are female. That still 3.5 billion people, females out there. Then nobody's gonna find, that one. There's got to be more than just one person out there that that God has for us.
Oh, look, like, it sounds like you talking about some of that other stuff.
You stupid.
I'm messing with
We ain't talking about no polygamous or no poly. I didn't know, Dorsey, you get down like that. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I didn't know.
I'm kidding, y'all. I'm kidding.
I mean, what we are in a I guess a unique position nowadays, with the world, and you have all these other titles and groups and categories and stuff, and so you know I just the one could be. I think there's too much to think about. My mind explodes. Um, um, yeah, I just the one. I don't know. I don't know. I
It
know
could be
that's
a
the
double,
simplest question,
right.
but it's 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 a loaded question. All right, so
Mhm.
and I say that is because when I'm talking about different categories and stuff, like you got the LGBTQ plus IA, whatever, all of those, right? And then you have people that are, having these different, what is it called? Like pan and sapio and all these other things. And so it just get confusing because you can actually meet someone and they are uh, in one of these categories, and let's say somebody who's bisexual, right? You meet them and you're like, well, you you're not the one for me. uh, but they feel like they are the one for you. So whose definition of the one are we're talking about, right? So I just feel like the one is loaded, but if you're trying to figure that out for yourself, I'll just say let God handle who's the one for you. Just take out all of the the figuring out and let God choose the one. And then if you did that prayer and that commitment, you're gonna filter that one out, and then it's all gonna be good. You don't got the stress and figure it out. You don't got to take a notebook and be like taking the notes of the different names and doing the pros and the cons. Just let God do all the work. I'm just gonna end there. That's where I'm at.
Well, I ain't
I
gonna
think I
lie,
know
man.
you.
I thought somebody was the one at least probably like 5 or 6 times. So I mean, so I understand what both of y'all are saying. So come on with it, right yet. Look, what's your definition of one?
I understand what Kelvin is saying. I understand what Dorsey is saying as well. It's like what I'm hearing is that okay, there is the world's definition or perspective on what the one is, but then you also have the scriptures where it talks about that one as well. So you got to differentiate which one are you referring to.
Mm.
Now I'm gonna go on the limb and probably say I think I know what you're talking about. I've been paying attention to the different perspectives, especially with the woman's approach, right? And the several women that I've have encountered over the years as well. And I'm thankful that my mother taught me this. And she said, It's one thing that we're talking about physical attractiveness, but it's another thing where you're talking about look deeper and look at the heart and the spirit of that person and that mindset, and you see how the way they operate. And I've been doing that ever since. Um, for me, I would say now where I am in a very mature position, I'm paying attention to what kind of energy and what kind of peace are you bringing to my front door, if it's there. That's the main thing for me. Paying attention to, again, we're going back to those different qualities, um, is there respect? Is it mutual? Is there a sense of commitment? Is there humility? No pride. And I've dealt with some women that do operate in pride, um, instead of just, hey, tone that down. um, I don't need for you to do all that. Like just like where are you on the scope of working on yourself as a woman? You know, because like I said, we can have our own agenda, but God has his own as well too for you in that perspective. For me, it's about first and foremost now that sense of peace, sense of respect, and having things are mutual. You're willing to work, you're willing to support, and it goes both ways. It's like, hey, I got love for you, I support in what you do, but it's vice versa as well, And for me, it's like I want to be on the same page with you if you are flowing this way. And if it's not, then it's going to be a constant friction going on. It's going to be a sense of confusion. And I've dealt with a lot of women that bring in a lot of confusion. I'm like, that's not it, because you're making my head hurt. I'm like, that ain't it. I've had my share. So I'm just like, nope, that's not it. I've had my share on a lot of things um, that God has shown me about women in general. I had a very strong background of women in my family, from my grandmothers to my mom to my aunts and things like that. And it's all well and good. And they showed a different, they wore multiple hats, right? Because that's how women are by divine nature. They are gatherers, they are problem solvers, to get things done. And at the same time, it's like now what I'm looking at is, do you fully understand my position and where I'm coming from? And vice versa. So for me, it's like, can that person fit where it's just ease there? Does their spirit settle into mine where there is not so much friction there? It's not so much of an issue going on, and I'm paying attention to your heart and to your spirit, and to your emotions more than just the physical aspect, because I believe it's a little bit of both. If you want to put it on a numerical scale, we can say 50-50. Sure, men want to look at something nice. We do. But at the same time, I want to know, are you peaceful? Are you supporting? Are you hardworking? Because hey, ain't nothing like having two checks coming into the home as well, you know, instead of just depending on this guy's check. If you're working, cool. I like that. That means that you're a hard worker. You go out there and make it happen. Because again, you just never know what would happen within the marriage. One person can be down, another person got to come in and fill in that spot for a second and just be a substitute teacher. Then when that man is back up, or when that woman is back up, okay, we back on schedule. Cool. Because it's more than just looks, right? It's more than just what's in your bank account. Cool. We get all that stuff. All the foundation and all the principles that we already know, the obvious, it's already there. Again, I'm thankful. I'm paying attention to your spirit, I'm paying attention to your heart, and I'm paying attention to your mind, like where your mind is at. I'm a very open person. I like open communication, like honest communication. You don't have that, can't rock with you. So the one has to know who she is in God, as much as a man must know who he is in God. To come together at the table, you bring something to the table. Don't just bring a loaf of bread, y'all. Like, what do you bring to the table? I've heard this many, many times, like, oh, what you bring to the table? I bring all this. I bring all of these things, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but like, what do you really bring? You know, that's the main thing for me. We've been talking about the one, like, what is she carrying and what do she possess? We've heard many stories in the Bible about Ruth, Rebecca, and Hannah and many others, many great, great women. But what are you, what is your motivation of becoming the woman who you need to be? Not just into society, but just to what God is saying towards you and how the way you are motivating, how the way you're functioning. You know what I mean? Like, I like women that are motivated. I like women that are inspiring. And, they get things done, they make it happen. They know who they are, they have a sense of self, who they are, the kind of women that I like. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's hey, I'm not just only doing the work here. She's out there doing the work as well too. So we both getting it done, because if we're going to be building this empire, it can't just be built by one person alone. It takes really two people. Listen, if it takes two people to procreate, there'll be two people to be working on the house, working on the kingdom. Just saying.
Ooh, y'all. I mean, well, you're dropping the gems on tonight. I mean, if nothing else. I don't know if we're gonna get all these questions unless y'all. It depends on y'all, because I mean, y'all know I'm available, but it's up to y'all. But
Keep it rocking and rolling. Keep moving.
this,
Yeah.
all right. Well, this next one saying, I don't know, Rania, it seems like you touched on this one already, but I don't know. You can still answer.
All right.
Say, what is the most important quality for a woman to have? Not the obvious in regards to relationship with God. So outside of that
I
what's the
think
most
we
important quality?
all answered this already.
If y'all don't know, we can
To
move
be
on.
honest,
Yeah. Again, it's really peace. It's just having a peace of mind and her sense of security of knowing who she is. Confidence. It's the confidence of knowing where your confidence comes from. It's in God. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times I have had conversations with women from different ethnicities, not just Black, but just across the board. They have all have dealt with some form of rejection, abandonment, not having a father figure at the home front, and they don't know what a man looks like. They don't know how the man moves or operates. You know what I'm saying? So, and thank you, Lord. This is something else I wanted to touch on as well too, since we're here. Most women, when they start to date a man or they have an interest in a male figure, and of course they start going into relationship building and it doesn't work out, the reason why it doesn't work out is because that man also has some qualities of their fathers who left them when they were young. So there's a lot of traits that she didn't even recognize, that man is something very similar to her father, who ended up rejecting her and abandoning her and her mom during their early adolescent stages. And 9 times out of 10, that's what's been happening for me. I've been paying attention to that. Beautiful women. I mean, gorgeous women. Like, oh my gosh, like, where do you come from? But then when you start to peel back the layers on them, there's like, oh my God, there's a lot of damaged goods. Not saying it can't be saved, but there's a lot of process here. There's a lot of work to be done, right? Because what happens is, and most not my fellows on here, but most men, regardless if they are consider themselves Christians, believers, or even on the outside, most men don't realize after they have dated this person or they have pursued this person and started to build a relationship with this person, how much damage this woman has been through. So there's a lot of insecurities that she has, that she's carrying. She don't want to show it to the man, but the more you're around her, it'll pop up and you're like, okay, I see it. I see it. Like, you can't dodge the bullet. Okay. I see it. And it makes you think, okay, I know it's not me, but the last cat that she was with did something to her, which created triggers for her, but don't realize it's going back into her childhood. So that's more work to be done. Not the new guy's problem, because the new guy got double work to do, right? So now he's trying to explain it to her. Hey, listen, I know this is not me, but I'm here for the long haul. But there's some things that you need to address. And if she doesn't address it now in her single season, pardon my French, there's going to be a lot of HE double hockey sticks for this guy. Okay. So please, ladies, keep that in mind. Like, continue to work on yourself. Know that you are beautiful and wonderfully made as you are. Just keep working on you. The timing will be right. God got it all under control, and he got the man for you. Don't go for the obvious. You know what I'm saying? The obvious will always be there, but you got to look deeper. You have to look deeper. So,
All right. You want to tell us the most important quality, Kelvin? Or you good?
I'm good. I'm good. I feel like y'all got what you need. It's been provided.
All right.
he does supply. He does supply.
All right. Well, I hate to move forward because I know Mr. Dorsey had to step out real quick, but we'll keep the conversation going, and when he gets back, he can join in and everything like that. The next question I have is, what does being vulnerable mean to you?
Okay.
I like this.
Yeah. So vulnerable. Honestly, is just simply means you're being open. You're having those conversations that you wanted to keep to yourself and not necessarily have with anyone else. And so, just being able to be open completely, and have those hard conversations.
That's a fact. It is. And a lot of times people have problems with just being themselves. When I hear the word vulnerable, vulnerable means to be naked. That's what comes to mind for me. Just being naked, being transparent, being truthful, no holds barred, just going all the way out. Like, this is me, this is who I am. You know what I mean? These are the things I like, these are things I don't like. Yes, I'm a work in progress, you know, but the main thing is, in the midst of you being vulnerable, you got to know uh, who are you being vulnerable to, and can they respect that vulnerability coming from a man? Where I have heard it time and time again, most women who I spoke to, they always said that men have a hard time communicating with them, having a open and honest communication with that individual. But I think now where we are, I think now these topics are becoming more and more relevant, and it's happening where we are able to be transparent and open and honest, brutally honest with everything across the
Mhm.
board. Because if that person truly loves you for who you are, they really are digging you. They really say, "Hey, I really like you. Whatever, I want to know more about you, et cetera, et cetera." And they're not trying to hinder you. They're not trying to harm you. Whatever. They just genuinely want to know your story by itself. Then this is what it is. And respectfully, this is the thing that I've been through. This is my process. This is what I've gone through. This is where I am today. And for me, being open and honest and transparent, that speaks volumes, not just to yourself and the growth that's within inside that man, but also that should show something to that woman as well too. It's like, oh, okay, he's not afraid to show his feelings, you know. And if the women want to know about a man, like, just stick around for a little bit and be patient. He'll show you something. Men communicate in different ways and in different languages. Not all men are the same. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're in the States or in Africa or in Europe or in Asia or in the Philippines. It doesn't make no difference. Men have a way of communicating and showing who they truly are if you just stick around and find out. Like my father, for example. I take my father for example. My father shows his love in a different way to my mom, like I said earlier. They're not together no more. You know what I mean? They're separated. They are now divorced. But as I was growing up, my father had a way of communicating to my mother and showed my mother love in different ways. My dad loves to cook. That was his way of communicating love to her. Or he'll, hey, let's go out and have dinner. Let's go out and do something. You know what I mean? So it was his acts of service that was able to showcase that to my mom. And so for others, it could be, I want to open up with you, communication, talk. Other people, be affectionate, touch, things of that nature. You know, which by the way, great book, Five Love Languages, great book. Y'all need to check that out. Um, but people have a way of communicating differently, especially men. If they really want to know, you got to stick around and find out for yourself if you really are interested in this person, because they'll show you. And if you are okay with that, that's how you're going to flow. You know, some women, they want PDA. That's all well and good too. I'm cool with that. But you got to understand the person that you have an interest in, this is how they operate. You know what I mean? And going to the point of vulnerability, depending on what part of the book of him being vulnerable are you wanting him to show, right? So if it's the fact of like your childhood, where you came from, show that. If you show adolescence, show that. Why you have a hard time saying this or that, like show that. Because I got an older brother who, with his fiance, he does things differently. My brother's an introvert. I'm a social butterfly. I ain't got no problem talking to people. But with him, it's something different. And he showcases his love towards his woman in a different way. Something very similar to my dad, you know, but there's nothing wrong with that. People have showcasing of love in different ways and different languages. Men don't have a problem. There are some men that probably through their adolescence or through their childhood, they've had a hard time opening up because of what they've been through. Also keep that in mind. Whatever they've been through, it's sort of like a blockage. Okay. So until you identify that blockage, you're going to just stand still for a second. You're not going to receive what you want, because you can't complain about something or argue with him about something unless you ask the right questions. If you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to know how to open them up. It's almost like, remember those lockers that we had in middle school with the combination and everything? Something like that. You got to get the right combination to open them up. That's the best way I can put it. So to me, that's what vulnerability is, being able to be transparent, to be truthful, to be honest, to be open all the way through and not be ashamed. This is my story. This is what I've been through. This is what I've gone through. And this is who I am. Now, if you can love me through all of that, what you just heard, cool.
Mr. Dorsey, what does being vulnerable mean to you?
I think being vulnerable to me means that you need to be open and honest with the person, and you need to tell them the truth about how you feel and what you're going through, and things of that nature. I mean, you may not do it right away in the dating relationship, but obviously when you get married, you need to be more vulnerable and more honest about what you're dealing with and what you're facing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, y'all, this is up to y'all at this point, because I know we done been here a little while. I don't know if we need to do a part 2 with the single man. I don't know. When you finish this up, I had to split it up. I don't know, look, Boomer, what you gonna do? What you gonna do, Boomer?
I think we can do part 2. I'm okay with part 2.
I'm okay with part 2 as well. Yeah.
Likewise.
Well, we can get another date together then and finish this, y'all. Because I don't want to leave the social media people hanging, because they had some good old questions, and some of these are lengthy. We didn't get to the lengthy ones, but
I tell you
Yeah.
what then. I tell you what then. Drop one more and then we'll hit it to be continued. And then we done.
All right. What y'all want me to grab one of these lengthy ones real quick?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, give a lengthy one a chance. Let's see. Whew. Oh, well, y'all kind of already just talked about this one, I think. So let me get it.
Okay, let's look at it. Look at the other one. Look at the other one.
Okay. In this day and age where dating objectives have changed, do you still feel it's important to take a woman out? Or do you feel you should date over the phone, internet, etc., until you decide you want to take it further?
Wait, say
We
that again?
processing.
Hmm.
Read one more time.
Yeah. One more time, please. Uno
Yeah.
más, por favor.
Yeah, sure. It says, in this day and age where dating objectives have changed, do you still feel it's important to take a woman out? Or do you feel you should date over the phone and internet, etc., until you decide you want to take it further?
I say you have to stay creative. You gotta stay creative. That's just the key thing in these stages of relationships and going into um, engagement and marriage and things of that nature. Because I don't know not one woman that doesn't want her man to take her out. You know what I'm saying, on a night on the town. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't matter how technology advanced we are in this millennium right now, because the main thing is that you got to be creative. I mean, hey, you're talking to a creative. Kelvin is a creative. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be creative at the end of the day, no matter what, because um, you got to keep her interest at heart. You have to. You got to find a lot of different ways to keep, some of the old school cats would say you got to woo her. You know what I mean? You got to, be able to like keep that.
Chivalry.
But chivalry, talk to me, my brother. Chivalry, yes. I think that's what's missing now as well too. Like I say, I take great honor in calling myself a gentleman. You know what I'm saying? I am a gentleman through and through, but please respect the gentleman as well. And for me, I like it. You know what I'm saying? I like it when I'm able to be creative to that person of interest that I have in mind. You know what I'm saying? Because it shows her like, hey, oh, he really put time and effort into this, and you always hear people say that, especially around the holidays, it's the thought that counts. Not because it's the holidays. You need to do this thing 365 days out the year, period. You got to find other ways to keep her interest at heart and say, well, I thought about you when I saw this. Oh, I saw these flowers and I thought about you. Oh, I saw this air balloon ride. Like, no, we should try that. Oh, you don't like heights? Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. We'll try something else. You got to figure it out. You got to figure out, what she like and what she don't like, whatever. And then kind of like put that extra energy into it and have that thought process to keep, continue to keep moving forward with that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, it's going to get stale. It's going to get boring. You don't want that. You know what I mean? It's like, try things that you never did before. Try different places, or just the fact of like, do you have a creative bone inside of you? Go paint it. You know what I mean? Paint on the canvas, whatever. What the thing to do? Art and wine, and there's so many different things you can do. You know what I mean? You got food
So you
trucks
gotta be
now.
careful with them art and wines. We
Yeah,
got look.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. It's up to y'all if you want to catch it or not. You know what I'm saying? You better have a glove on. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, it's up to y'all. You know what I mean? I'm just putting it out there. You know what I mean? As far as like being creative, staying creative. You probably never been out the States. Go to a different country. Go to the Caribbean. You know what I mean? Go to the Bahamas. Go over to London. Go to Africa. You know what I mean? It just depends. Depends on what you're trying to do to keep that romantic side of that relationship, still going. But also, it should show your partner like, hey, listen, I really appreciate you for even taking that time and that effort of doing it. You'll be surprised. Like, she could be at work. You say, you know what? I'm gonna bring her lunch. Just a thought. Oh, I'm gonna bring her dinner because she's doing overnight. She's working overnight, whatever the case may be. or she's doing a midnight grind right now. You know what I mean? Just because, hey, it's family. Pack her lunch, whatever the case. You know what I mean? Like, you have to stay ahead of the curve, as they would say, because if that's your ride or die, as they would say, like, you make sure that she's good. Like, hey, did you eat? Are you okay? You know, just the thought within itself speaks volumes to that woman. And it lets her know, like, yo, I really appreciate it. So it's not just the obvious, but again, I go back to the point. It's the thought that counts. Women love it. I don't care what y'all say. A lot of women who I've run across and have had conversations with, it's the thought that counts, and they love it when a man thinks outside the box, and they're like, oh, and then before you know it, she'd be like, girl, you never believe what he did. She'll be ringing the phone off the hook. Trust me. You got to stay creative. You have to. Yes, we have virtual calls. We're doing Zoom now. You know what I'm saying? We got Microsoft. We got all these different apps now to where people are talking virtually or in person. So yeah, we got different devices. We have different things at our disposal. But at the same time, there's nothing like a woman to receive a handwritten letter from a guy with sending her roses or sending her flowers um, at her job or at home, or and she's like, why you do this? Just because. And just keep it just like that. I kid you not, I was speaking to a lady friend of mine, and it was like probably about 2 weeks ago we had this similar conversation. And she's like, yo, I miss that. I miss that where I get handwritten letters in the mail. I miss, when a guy sends a poem, like the guy wrote a poem, an actual poem to me in the mail. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be surprised about people being romantic. There are some women that are romantic. They like that, within a guy. Like, it's a surprise to them. So again, it is being creative. I forgot the name of the artist, but it's an old school throwback. It's an artist. I think it's Jeffrey Osborne. He's an R&B singer, and he had a song called "Find 100 Ways." And basically, what he's saying in the song is that you got to find 100 ways to love that woman, or you're gonna lose her. Pretty much, that's the synopsis of the song. So that's what I think about. It's like you got to find over 100 ways to stay creative, be creative, finding her to romance her once again if you feel like things are slowing down or that fire is not kindled, as we say. You'll figure it out. Got to get creative, start working.
But y'all single men got all the ideas.
What?
I
Look,
put
you talking
thought
about
into mine. I
Jeffrey?
can't speak for nobody else. I put thoughts into mine.
I see. Look, we waiting for this wife. We gonna see what you do. We gonna see what you do. Now, what about you, man? You two gentlemen, y'all taking women out, or y'all gotta, fill her out online first, and then be like, okay, I'll finally take you out.
No, you got to take her out. You got to take her out to see who she is, see how she acts around other people,
That's right.
see who she is in person. What like what her character is, what her personality is, and different
Yes.
things like that. You can do the phone and do the computer, but over time it's gonna get old and stale. So you gotta come up with different ideas as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Dorsey, 1000%. Gotta know her character. Yes, absolutely. Yes, what she like, what she doesn't like, things of that nature, how she works around people, even around your family members. I mean, it could be a night of bowling, like how she talking to your mom, just things like that, absolutely.
Kelvin, look, you going out or you staying online?
Look, I'm here. So I just think that it definitely needs to be open. You don't want, like I was saying earlier about being cookie cutter. You don't want to do what has always been done.
That's right.
Not saying that it doesn't work, because I was just hearing Steve Harvey the other day saying that the old stuff still works. So yes,
Mhm.
it still works, but I think they need to be open in the sense of, you know, maybe, we're talking about dating, so maybe the man that they are praying for isn't in their central location, and they are, you know, these other places across the world. um you might have to get out and go meet that person. And so just be open, and don't, like I said, don't stick to the cookie cutter stuff. So yeah, um get out there, go on dates, you know, look for the man, the God sent man,
Mm.
not the man you thought you wanted. But
Well, I mean,
I
look,
know that's right. The man you thought you wanted. Over there looking like a hot mess by the end of the night. Like,
Right.
well,
Yeah,
hey,
but
I think most of y'all know my story. The man I wanted is different from the man I got, but I'm grateful for the man I got. Thank you, praise the Lord. Look, so with that being said, I mean, I know I could be on here all night listening to y'all big folk, but I know y'all got other things to do. So I guess we gotta have a part two. Social media people, I didn't, I have your questions. We'll have to just get these men back and come back another time. But I just want to thank each and every one of you all for, lending your expertise and dropping all the gems that you all dropped tonight and sharing with, these people that want to hear your perspective. Shout out to male perspective again, man. Look,
come on.
yeah. Thank y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you again.
Yes, it was. Look, it's been a while, but this was a good conversation.
Yes.
And ladies, if you need some counseling, you got three men right here that can help you out,
That's right.
tell you about yourself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how you said,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, with love and tact, as they like to say back in the day. Um, but yeah, you got questions, but definitely look out for the part two.
yes, the
So,
part two, and look, I look at least two of them on here looking, ladies. So I'm just saying, I'm not, if you want to hit up their DMs, y'all know I gotta ask people where now and there, but yeah, thank
oh,
y'all so
oh,
much again.
miracle, miracle, miracle. I
I don't
can't
want to
wait to
leave you
hear
hanging,
that.
Mr. Dorsey. You want to leave us with
Come on, Mr. D. Come on, Mr. D.
Wait, what happened?
I said, I didn't know if you want to leave us with a final thought before we wrap things up.
Just make sure you're choosing the right one. Especially when it comes to the guys and it comes to the girls.
Hey,
There's
hey,
some people out there you don't want to be messing with.
Right.
I know that's right.
I knew Mr. Dorsey was
Come
gonna
on,
leave us
Mr.
with
D.
something good. That was good. That was
Mm-hmm.
good. Thank you all so much again.
Shot you, Miracle Sims, let's go.
Thank you so much for watching God, Sex, and Love. And thank you to Mr. Dorsey and Kelvin and Ranye for sharing their testimonies and transparency regarding their single life and their dating life and everything like that. I hope that you all enjoyed the conversation and be on the lookout for part two because we are not finished yet. Thank you all so much for sending us questions on social media. And we're looking forward to the next one. Have a good night.